Good morrow, my lovely little ghosts, and welcome to the Dark Orchard. I'm Laura, and this is a wig video. As was said in my intro, this is a wig video. More specifically, I took to my social media platforms and I asked you guys to ask me wig-related questions for a video, whether it be publicly or privately, and you lovely little ghosts delivered. You sent me a bunch of questions about wigs, and I'm going to answer some of them right now. The very first question that I got was 3 tips for styling your first wig. This question I could ramble on and on about. To answer this question, let's start with the basics. I'm assuming if you're asking this question, you've already chosen your wig. Usually you want to go for a wig that's a little longer than what you actually need because you actually want to have room to work. Most of the wigs that I get are super cheap and I don't mind cutting off a couple of inches to make it the length that I need it to, but remember that you can always cut off, you can never put back on. So be 100% sure what you're doing. And to be 100% sure what you're doing, you need to have thinning scissors instead of regular scissors, because thinning scissors will take layers out of the wigs at a time and make it look more natural versus a regular scissor that's just going to make a straight cut, which can look really cute for bobs, but for a more natural bang or a more natural cut in general, you want to use thinning scissors because it takes different layers off and it takes it off at different points. If you do not have thinning scissors, you can just hold your wig like this and cut really close like this all the way across, and that usually gives you a bit of a layered look too. My Mayrin wig, that's what I did with those bangs because I couldn't find my thinning scissors. And if you bunch the hair up a little bit and just cut real tiny all the way across, should do the same thing. As far as the actual styling goes, you'll want to get Got to Be Glued spray or Got to Be Glued gel, or both, depending on what look you're going for. For simple styling, most of the time you just need Got to Be Glued spray. This stuff will hold your fibers in place. Wigs are not like normal hair. You can't use a standard hairspray on them because that standard hairspray is going to fall out and it won't hold your shape. Got to Be Glued spray works like a wig hairspray. So if you have a big updo or you have curls that you've set, Got to Be Glued spray is your best friend. Speaking of curls, if you use dry curlers and wrap your wig up in them and then spray Got to Be Glued, it will hold that curl once you pull it out, once it's dry. But with spikes, for example, Leo from Fairy Tale, for those kind of spikes you want to use the Got to Be Glued gel. It's actually specifically for spiking, and this is like literal glue for your wigs. It will make the hair stick straight up and stiff, but it takes a while to dry. So just be prepared for that. Don't try to style it while you're at the convention. Style it beforehand, put it on a wig head, and keep it safe. Carry it around like it's your baby. That's what most cosplayers do. I have one friend that gets his wig styled and then just carries around like his little precious, because if he drops it, he has to get it restyled because he's just so meticulous about different hairs being out of place. But that's just something cute and quirky about him. The fun thing about wig styling is that wigs are most of the time made from synthetic materials, and that means you can really have fun playing with it. Like you can use non-organic materials to wrap it around or sit it in place. And also, if you're going for specific spikes, sometimes it's a good idea to put a piece of felt that's the same color as your wig in the middle of your spike to kind of hold that shape. I've seen some people use the spiking gel as literal glue and smear it over the felt and then adhese the hair up to it in a triangle and then move the hair around it, if that makes sense. Just some things to think about. Next question was, why are you so adorable as Ariel in one? Better yet, are you my favorite Disney princess? I'll answer that by saying the wig that I use for Ariel is actually the wig that I got from Party Girl, and it's a Bellamy / Glam and Gore collab wig. It was called Carrie. I'm not sure if it's in stock right now, but it's a wonderful wig, and it is a lace front, which transitions me into the next questions. The next question was, how do you cut a lace front wig? I happen to have a lace front wig that has not been cut, and I will show you how you cut a lace front wig. Okay, so for those of you that don't know what a lace front wig is, This is a lace front wig. You see that netting in the front that's kind of weird, like sticking out of the scalp of the wig? That's what makes it a lace front. That gives you a more natural appearance. But because we don't want to go walking out into public with this weird mesh veil over our face, we have to cut it. And that's what the question was about, is how to cut this part without messing up your wig. Again, you can never put back on, but you can always cut more off. When you go to cut your lace front wig, preferably with a short pair of scissors, make sure to start off by cutting like a centimeter away from the hairline, just so you can put it on and make sure that it looks right before you continue to cut closer to the hairline. See these hairs along the hairline? You're going to want to cut a little bit away from that, put it on, make sure it looks right, and then get closer and closer until you're right at the hairline or close enough that it looks natural. Basically, the point of a lace front wig in cosplay is to make it look like this is your character's actual hair. A lot of the time when I've seen lace front wigs used, it's as a base for another wig. And actually, if I could go back and redo my Jessie wig, I would have started off with a lace front wig as the base wig. However, I made a giant mold anyway, so I don't know if that would have actually worked or not, but it's just a thought. But once you've trimmed the lace off of the front and you pop the wig on, it should look very natural, like it just blends right into your hairline. And this lace front wig actually has a part. A lot of lace front wigs that I've seen don't have parts, but some actually do have parts. And what that means is, with the ones that don't have parts, you can part the wig either way. Like with Carrie by Bellamy and Glam & Gore. That wig, you can do any kind of part that you want, and it's very heat resistant, like it's a top-notch wig. This, on the other hand, it's also a very good wig. It's heat resistant, it feels soft, and it feels natural. And the middle part is something that you're going to want to pay close attention to, because when you put your wig on, if you don't have a skin colored cap that matches your skin color, you might run into some problems. So let me just give you a tip there. If you put a little concealer or a tiny bit of foundation down the center of the part and then blend it in real good, it should look more natural to your color, especially if you use the same concealer or foundation that you used on your face, because then it's gonna just look like your skin. My favorite part of most good quality wigs are the little combs that go into your hair when you put the wig on. These little combs are lifesavers. You don't have to put 1,000 bobby pins in your head for the wig to stay, because those combs just kind of grip into your hair, or grip into your wig cap, depending on how you wear your wigs. So if you're a cosplayer, or if you're someone who wants to go the cheaper route and buy the cheaper wigs, you can actually buy clips to sew into your wig caps so that you have the same effect. If you watched my Andy Black VIP video, what I put the little skeleton hand on was one of those clips. And you can buy them in bulk. You can buy like 100 for nothing at all, but a huge pack for barely anything. And they're so useful when you're putting wigs on, especially those that I used in that video, because they actually snap into the head. So once you have it on, you just kind of push it down and snap. Next question is, how do I brush my wigs? It depends on what you're brushing out of your wig. For example, this big old knot, you're gonna want a metal brush and a wig conditioner. But if you're brushing a wig just normally to keep it contained, most likely you'll want a rat tail comb. Also for styling, you'll want a rat tail comb. Or you can have a plastic wig comb. Let me show you an example of that. This is a standard detangling brush. This one actually came with the Bellamy wig, but it's a standard plastic detangling brush. If you don't have a big clump of hair that you're trying to detangle, that will work just fine. And also, just cheap dollar store plastic combs will comb out your bangs so that you can trim them or something like that. Like you don't need anything really fancy to comb out a normal wig. But if you've let it get really ratty, or you've worn it a lot, or you've rubbed up against things, wigs are synthetic, so they're gonna mat and they're not gonna fall out. They're gonna start to dread like dirty hair, because that's what they are. They're dry fibers. So there's no oils to help them detangle, so you have to be the detangler. And in my experience, a metal brush is the best route to go. The next question is, how do you put a wig into a ponytail? Sadly, the answer to that blatantly is you don't. A normal, cheap wig will not ponytail. The reason for that is, if you start to ponytail a wig, you're going to see the whiffs, and you're going to see the outer workings of the wig. Let me show you. If you want a low, messy ponytail like this, then that's just fine. You can totally do that with a wig. But if you start to go higher, the higher you pull the hair, the more of this you see. And most cosplay wigs are really thin, and they're only meant to show you the first layer of hair. So if you try to separate it and do pigtails, you get the whiffs. You get this happening. So a normal, cheap, regular wig will not ponytail unless you're doing low ponytails or low pigtails. I often do low pigtails. And you even have to watch with that, because sometimes your wig's just so thin, when you start to do the pigtails, it splits down the middle and you can see the whiffs there. So just be very careful if you're trying to do that with a regular wig, but you cannot do high ponytails and high pigtails with those. How do those cosplayers always get really high cute pigtails and really high cute ponytails? Well, they're extensions. Here is an example of an extension ponytail. They actually are wefts of the same wig material that you used for your wig, but they have giant hair clips in them. And they just clip into the back of the hair for a ponytail or into the sides of the hair for pigtails. And they look like the wig just has that much volume. But really, it's just a trick. It's just a ponytail. It's just a ponytail extension. I've seen a lot of new cosplayers not know that. I've seen a lot of new cosplayers trying to get that fullness out of normal wigs, and it can't happen. The pigtail wigs do usually run a little bit more. However, you can always buy two cheap wigs, like $2, $5, $10 wigs, and harvest the wefts from them, take some clips from the dollar store, hot glue them on, and have yourself wig clips. There's always a cheap alternative. Get the things that you need. And I personally am a firm believer in keeping cosplay cheap. Keeping cosplay within a good budget. Okay, the last question that I'm going to hit on today is actually wig shopping tips. Personally, if you want high grade professional cosplay wigs, Bellamy or Arta, there's a few others, I'll link them down below, but those are like the super expensive cosplay grade wigs. However, you can get really good cheap wigs from Amazon. They're not going to be the best quality, but they're going to be pretty good quality. I try to go through Amazon Prime, I always read the reviews, but you can get wigs under $10 and they look really good, and they can look really good for your character. There aren't that many actual wig stores around here, and the ones that are around here don't specialize in bright colors or colors that you would need for cosplay. So your best bet is to order offline, and in doing so, I would suggest Amazon. Amazon Prime gets to you in 2 days, then you can start playing with it. But personally, most of my cosplay wigs come from Amazon, and if it didn't, it was a gift. But I have no Arta wigs yet. I have no wigs from anywhere else, so I can't speak for them. But the Bellamy wigs are wonderful. They're such good quality. They look natural. They look pretty. They're full. There's a lot of volume. You really get what you pay for with those, but it's not within everyone's budget. And it's great that there are places on Amazon where you can get a good quality wig for a good price. And most of the time, it works fine. People don't care how much you spent on your wig, as long as you look like the character that they love. And that's what cosplay is about. It's becoming a character and dressing up like a character that you love and that other people love, and you can share in that enjoyment. So don't stress about how much you spend on a wig. Just enjoy your time cosplaying, especially at a convention. One thing that is the biggest downfall for a lot of my friends and people that I've just met at conventions is that they continuously compare their costumes to other costumes that they deem better. And that's just not the way to be, because everyone is at a different skill set. Some people make their costumes, some people buy their costumes, some people have their costumes made for them, some people half buy, half make. Like, there's all sorts of people out there in the cosplay community. And the best thing that we can do is just support no matter what. Cosplay is cosplay. Cosplay is just having fun. And there are cosplay elitists. There are people that think that cosplay is all about how much money you spend and how much work you put into it. But at the end of the day, you still look like a character, just like that little girl that spent $5 on her wig looks like a character. I used to be a huge stickler for details, a stickler for all these different things. I have to 100% make my costume and everything else. But I've quickly realized that that's just not the case. You're there to have fun, and if you stress over your costume and stress over somebody stepping on your costume and stress over how much time you've put into it and everything, it's just not as fun, especially if you're not entering a competition. Now, if you're a competitive cosplayer, whole different world. Not at all talking about competitive cosplay, because that is just a whole new world. But for those that are just in it for cosplay, go the cheaper route. I'm Laura, and thank you for staying for my TED Talk. So I hope this quick little Q&A was helpful for you guys. If questions continue to come in, I'll save them, I'll jot them down, and I'll make another video. But I just wanted to make this quick little Q&A about wigs, because I've had a lot of questions come in about wigs and styling and things. So I just wanted to put it out there for you guys to ask me those questions and for me to get back to you. But if you have more questions, please, please, please send them to me. I'll make another video. If it's an urgent question, I'll respond in a DM. Just let me know. Just don't be afraid to ask, and know that I'm there to help. So that was me answering wig questions from my lovely little ghosts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come around again soon. Say bye. Bye. Questions, so I'm gonna ask, especially, but seriously, like, so that was me, and wanna do the outro? Why? And as far as so that you can really get close to it, got to be glued for no time. Hey Phoenix. They're usually, this one actually going to cause but it has a mid go. So as far as the actual styling, what is that? Okay. Most a more like really got to be glued gel into the sides of the hairs for pigtails. Ow.